Do you need to sell a rental property fast, as is, without making any repairs? Is that what you're thinking about? Hey, I'm Matt Walsh from Academy Home Buyers, and I'm also a real estate agent with eXp Realty in Virginia Beach, and we're going to talk about how to do that right now. Alright, to get started on this, we're going to talk about how to sell your rental home, how long it will take to sell your rental property, will you owe taxes when you sell your rental property, and what alternative ways of selling are there? Okay? Because you know that you can sell your rental property and still collect monthly income from it while not being responsible for it. I'll tell you about that. Stick to the end. How to sell your rental property. Right? So, a rental property, a typical single-family home or a duplex or up to a four-family, is considered a residential home for legal purposes. 5 families and above are now considered commercial. So for the most part, we are talking about single-family, duplexes, threeplexes, and up to a 4-family home. The issues are, because that's a residential property, they're appraised at resale value of comparable properties, right? Commercial properties are appraised upon the value of the income they produce. 5 families and above, storefronts, commercial properties. Residential properties are appraised at the value that another similar home sold for. But when we're talking about rental properties, these aren't normal homes, they're income producing properties. Therefore, the value of the home is very hard to calculate sometimes, especially if the house is under rented. Let's say that market rents for the area for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house are $1,400 a month, and you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but it's only renting for $900 a month, and it's been rented like that for 10 years and you never raised the rent. Well, that decreases the value of that home dramatically until the tenant is moved out. So how should you sell? A rental property occupied by a tenant is an income producing property, and therefore only investors are going to buy that home. Someone's not going to buy that house with a tenant in it with the intention to move into it, right? So only investors are going to do that. So the best bet in most cases is to sell directly to an investor. If you're selling through an agent, you're simply going to sell to that same investor that would buy it anyway, except you're going to cost yourself 5 or 6% in agent commissions. So in most cases, the best way to sell an occupied rental property is directly to a cash buyer investor. Now we're going to talk about how long does it take to sell your rental property. Well, when we sell a normal property, a single-family home, a 2-family home, when we sell a normal property, it takes a minimum of 30 to 45 days to run title and run insurance requirements, and then go through the mortgage process. So it's easily 45 to 60 days to close on a home. Now, what if your house needs work? What if it needs work to meet code violations, or to meet mortgage requirements, or just because it's in such bad shape? Now add all that time on. Selling a property could easily be 60, 90, or 120 days or more. Okay? When you sell to an investor, typically it's 30 or 45 days and that's it. Again, an investor is coming in and looking at it as an income producing property, and they are willing to take on liens and mortgages and other encumbrances on your title in exchange for the income that they are going to earn. Taxes. Will you owe taxes? And the answer is more than likely, yes, you will. If you've watched any of my other videos, we talk about capital gains taxes, right? So the government charges you a tax on the gains of selling a capital asset. A house is a capital asset. Now, if you're selling your primary home that you've lived in for 2 of the last 5 years, there are certain exemptions of $250,000 for single people, up to $500,000 of capital gains that are tax-free for married couples, right? But that is not the case for rental properties. Rental properties are income-producing properties. They're not your primary home. So you will owe capital gains tax on the gain of your home. So let's say you purchased the home for $100,000 and now you're going to sell it for $150,000. That's a $50,000 gain that you must now pay capital gains taxes on. And there are also tax recapture. When you own an income-producing property, like a rental property, the government allows you to depreciate the property over time. For a residential property, it's 27 and a half years. So that increases your tax basis. It's more than I can explain in this video, but the basic premise is that you will owe capital gains tax, and you will probably owe tax recapture from the money that was depreciated off your taxes in prior years. Are there alternative ways of selling your home so that maybe you reduce your tax liability, or at least stretch out your tax liability, and maybe earn income from the property while you don't own it? And the answer is yes. We have seller financing. Many people are unfamiliar with seller financing because it's not all that common in the residential world. It's very common in the investor world, and it's extremely common in the commercial world. Many of the big projects that you see, 30, 40, $50 million projects, a lot of times someone is not writing a check for 30, 40, or $50 million. A large portion of that is held by the seller as seller financing. That's how these deals work. Well, we can do the same thing with your rental property. You can sell the property, go to closing, sign the deed. You are no longer responsible for it, but you hold the note, and that note is tied to the deed just like a mortgage would be. So you are protected against non-payment. Okay? But what happens is, let's say you sell the house for $200,000. And let's assume that maybe you bought it for $150,000 a few years ago, so you have a $50,000 gain. You would owe $50,000 taxes on $50,000 if you sold it in 1 year. But let's say you hold the note for 10 years. You can spread out that payment over those 10 years. And perhaps maybe in year 8, 9, or 10, you're in a lower tax bracket, or the tax laws have changed in your favor. All right? The key is that you can earn income every month. You can earn principal money back, and then you also earn additional income in interest from holding the loan. You essentially become the bank. It's really the best way to sell a property, bar none. You make not only the money on the sale of your property, but you make money on the interest, and you can defer your taxes to a later period in time. There's nothing better than that. All right, if you have any questions at all, please give me a call, shoot me a text. I'd be happy to sit down and talk with you. If you are moving here to beautiful Virginia Beach or Hampton Roads, give me a call. I will help you find your dream home. And if you're selling your home, give me a call. I'll be happy to market your home and get you top dollar in the near future. All right, have a great day.